Now more fallout after the removal of the tent encampment along Hastings in Vancouver's downtown east side.
Tents are now...
Oh, Vancouver. One of the many once beautiful North American cities that 2020 style Californication has absolutely ruined. What is 2020 style Californication, you ask? Well, it is essentially the act of throwing a beautiful city into ruin via far left politics. And Vancouver is one of the many victims of it. Now, a sign that a city has become the latest victim of this new era of Californication are homeless encampments everywhere, drug addicts as far as the eyes can see, and also a bunch of violent criminals who should be locked the fuck up, walking the streets, just allowed to harm anyone they well please. And why? It's for simple ideological reasons, of course. Because let's be honest, the politicians, whether they be liberal or conservative, don't give a shit about us. We're peasants compared to them. They own our asses. But we don't have to take this lying down. So what you saw in the intro is what most people think of when they see Vancouver. Not what I'm about to show you. And this activity used to just be confined to the downtown east side, but it's slowly spreading all over Vancouver. Why? Well, simple. The police aren't allowed to do their jobs, and the addicts are just given free drugs. In fact, in Vancouver these days, it's more likely you'll get in bigger trouble for saying racist and sexist shit in a restaurant than you would for literally committing multiple violent attacks. Don't believe me? Allow this video to speak for itself.
Racist abuse directed towards a young South Asian cashier was captured late Sunday afternoon at a Tim Hortons on West Pender. The customer who shot it has asked not to be identified.
And I noticed this man was speaking to the cashier in this condescending manner. Him saying to her, "Atta girl, it's good that you know how to serve us." I became quite concerned.
In the video, the man is asked to leave by staff, and that's when things escalated.
Ladies, you're gonna meet my girlfriend, and she doesn't like both you little like you. So watch your sucker.
And that's when he mentioned that his girlfriend doesn't like people like her. And to me, it came across as a veiled threat.
Why did you feel you had to record it?
His body language. His body language seemed quite aggressive, and he was quite loud. I decided not to say anything. I was concerned for my own safety.
Vancouver police are now reviewing the video and say they will be following up with staff to get more information to proceed with an investigation.
This video is disgusting. It's vile. The language that we're seeing is hateful and hurtful. It's totally inappropriate. Our job now is to determine whether or not it's also criminal.
The customer is hoping the video serves as a public reminder about racism and the extreme examples some still endure. Krista Dow, Global News.
Now, I'm not downplaying this at all. Asians, especially East and South Asians, have gotten a lot of verbal and physical abuse in wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's nowhere near as bad as it was in 2020, but it still happens a whole lot. And I'm not downplaying that at all. I just find this angry that this gets more media coverage than, people being attacked by violent criminals who were let out way too soon. People being attacked by homeless druggies. This is what I mean when I'm saying far-left politics have absolutely ruined Vancouver. Because not only are these tent cities dangerous as all hell, they're also absolute fucking eyesores. And get this, it took years for the city of Vancouver to do anything about these disgustingly dangerous tent cities. And whoo boy, the radical lefties really didn't like that. There was a lot of backlash from what I think was highly justified. Because, to be honest, most violent criminals, most druggies live in these tent cities. After I showcase the news clip, I will tell you about the self-professed mayor of a tent city who engaged in the murder of an elderly woman.
Now, more fallout after the removal of the tent encampment along Hastings in Vancouver's downtown east side.
Tents are now appearing in other parts of the city as concerns grow for the health impact on the homeless.
CTV's Penny Daflos reports.
New tents and makeshift shelters are growing up in Vancouver, but this isn't East Hastings Street. From Riley Park to this growing shantytown in Kitsilano's Vanier Park, those without homes are making do where they can, including the streets surrounding Oppenheimer Park, which saw a long-term tent city dismantled 3 years ago.
They're at risk of exposure to the elements. They're at risk of sleep deprivation. And because they're so isolated, they're also at risk from a toxic drug supply.
Speaking outside St. Paul's Hospital, where another tent has gone up, BC's Hospital Employees Union is warning our healthcare system will see even more strain as those evicted from the streets struggle through severe rainfall and after.
We're quite concerned that the sort of cruel and dehumanizing displacement last week really does put residents, unhoused people in the downtown east side at risk in terms of their health status.
People are scattered around, they have no resources.
And that's raising questions about what Vancouver Coastal Health is doing to support those without basic necessities and facing infections, injuries, or other medical issues.
It's really concerning. This is an actual place where we need them to step up. Not only are they the health authority, they're the primary funder of almost every social service and health agency in the neighborhood.
VCH is referenced in the city's leaked plans to end the decampment, but the health authority has not responded to a CTV News request. As for municipal leaders, even as Hastings was being cleared on
people have nowhere to go. You're already dealing with encampments in other parts of the city.
And in fact, most of the people in Vancouver who are unsheltered are not on Hastings Street.
Although the medical community keeps reiterating,
housing is health care.
Both are lacking for the city's most desperate. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Vancouver.
Cruel and dehumanizing, you say? Cruel and dehumanizing, you say? Is it not cruel and dehumanizing to have these dangerous tent cities all over Vancouver, where, you know, children walk the streets, children play in these parks. You have Granny coming with her grandkids and she suddenly gets ambushed by a druggie high off his ass on crack and heroin. My heart goes out to the homeless people, but allowing these tent cities to exist is not it. It's not it. As one of the people interviewed in the documentary, Vancouver is Dying, Hang stated, the worst thing you can give an addict is 4 walls and a door that locks. I'm not saying addicts deserve to be homeless, but if you're going to put them in a home, don't have it be tents on the street. Don't have it be somewhere they can discreetly get high. Personally, I believe addicts need supervision to make sure they don't relapse, not to be put in subsidized housing with drug dealers left and right. Like I said, my heart goes out to the homeless. Nobody deserves to be in such a situation. But these tent cities are just as dangerous to the people living inside them as they are to the people outside them. And unfortunately, it's often people who live outside them that get caught up in the crossfires. Because remember how I brought up the mayor of a park? Well, I'm going to pull up that article right now. In 2021, the self-professed mayor of Oppenheimer Park, Sandy Parisian, was arrested and charged in the murder of Usha Singh, a 78-year-old woman. Now, according to Parisian himself, he tried to help everyone else instead of himself every day, but he has been in and out of prison his whole life. Yeah, sounds about right for the self-professed mayor of Oppenheimer Park. So, he was arrested along with a second man in an area near Main Street and Terminal Avenue in connection with Singh's murder. Pascal Bouethet, 41, who lived in a trailer, was charged with second-degree murder. And as most people stated, it was a tragic and senseless act that didn't need to happen. And it wouldn't have happened if these tent cities were torn down so much fucking sooner. I get it. The mayor of Vancouver is a virtue signaler, so therefore, he has to pretend to give a shit about the homeless. But at the expense of our tax-paying citizens. Well, I can't say our tax-paying citizens since I don't live in Vancouver, I live in Connecticut. But, you get my drift. It is absolutely fucking detestable. Oh, and you thought I was kidding about the violent crime. Oh, you sweet, sensitive soul, I was absolutely fucking not kidding. I have at least 5 news clips showing all the violent crime that has occurred in Vancouver in last year alone. Yeah.
Police in Vancouver say calls like this are constant.
People should be able to walk around their city at any time of day with their headphones on, go for a run, walk alone at night without being concerned that somebody's going to come out of the dark and attack them for no apparent reason.
Sergeant Steve Addison is pointing to places where people have been attacked by strangers.
I'm just going to take you to the Tim Hortons here where we had
In January, a 25-year-old man was stabbed here.
From out of nowhere, blitzed from behind, stabbed multiple times in the upper body by a suspect who didn't know, had no prior interaction with.
The suspect was arrested and charged. The victim will recover. Police have released videos of several incidents that police say show other random attacks. This woman was pushed in the middle of the day.
For the first time, we are seeing dramatic surveillance video inside a Canadian Tire in East Vancouver, where a man attacked employees, took a customer hostage, and stabbed a responding officer before being shot and killed by police. Good evening and thanks for joining us. The video is played at the coroner's inquest into the death of Daniel Rintoul in 2016. Employees who were working that day are still shaken by the violence. One who was stabbed testified about the trauma inflicted by Rintoul. CTV's Shannon Patterson has a story and a warning. The report includes graphic content.
This is surveillance video of 38-year-old Daniel Rintoul, dressed in camouflage, carrying a can of bear spray as he walked up to the firearms counter of an East Vancouver Canadian Tire on November 10th, 2016.
They had an individual come in present a can of bear spray and ask us to open the case, deployed the bear spray on us without a lot of warning.
And yeah, this is the current state of Vancouver. So, let's review. And why Vancouver is now a liberal hellhole ruined by 2020's style Californication. Go. 1. Severely underfunded police, as well as horrifically light sentences. So, it should come as no surprise that, like most liberal hellholes, Vancouver often gives severely light sentences to very violent criminals, and the police called on to deal with them are severely underfunded and, in their own words, mostly can't do shit. 2. Instead of being given proper treatment, addicts are given drugs via safe supply. So, honestly, I think safe supply is one of Canada's biggest fuck-ups. Because instead of encouraging them to kick the habit that is wasting their life, they're either allowed to live in tent cities, put in subsidized housing, or even given illicit drugs where people test cocaine and heroin. Don't believe me? There are whole ass articles and documentaries on Canada's safe supply all over the internet. 3. These drug-addicted criminals are allowed to live in tent cities that pose major health risks to the general population. Now, not only are these tent cities garish as all hell, they also pose major health and safety risks because of the people that they house. Many of these tent cities are home to drug-addicted criminals, and often violent drug-addicted criminals at that. And these criminals aren't exactly hygienic, so who's to say a child wouldn't step on a used heroin needle and contract HIV or some shit? Yeah, that could exactly happen. And all 3 of these things make Vancouver a liberal hellhole. Anyways, gentlemen, ladies, and fellow non-binary daisies, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and if you've done all those things, y'all have a great day. Antonio out. Also, quick plugging my Discord server, because I may have forgot to do that in the past video. Oh, please join. It's a wonderful place where you can send me video ideas, fan art, and just generally talk to me.